Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. Line 1, John's with us out of Fort Dodge, Iowa. John, what happened here when you wrote your congressman?
Hi, Tom. Yes, a couple of weeks ago when the letter came out for congressmen wanting the ATF to rescind their order for the extension grips for
the stabilizing braces
pistols and that.
Stabilizing braces,
yeah.
Yes.
And I just wrote him a letter off of Facebook. Hey, why weren't you signed on to this letter? And so I don't know. Well, maybe 3 or 4 days later, I'm on my way home from work. Get a call. I missed it. So about half an hour later, I called the number, and after reading the voice transcription and missed them, he called me back. I recognized the number, so I picked up, and we sat down and we had a good 20-minute talk
with your congressman.
Well, not with the congressman, but one of his aides.
Okay.
And it's just one of those things that I want to get the word out there to everybody that, I know I've heard you say it many, many times, call them, write them, this and that.
Right.
And, it's one of those things that, they're not going to listen to you if you don't call or write them.
That's a given, right?
Exactly. And this is a case of where, I got to chew on the guy's ear for 20 minutes.
How did that conversation go? Was the person you were talking to a legislative aide probably? How did it go?
Oh, it went very, very well as far as I was concerned. He listened. When I started talking, he shut up and listened to what I had to say, and I did the same for him. So, it was a very good conversation. He's a freshman congressman, just elected in 2020. So, I offered up, hey, if you ever get any 2A bills that you want to write, what have you, if you want to talk to somebody that's in the know of everything on 2A, call up the guys at Gun Talk and get on there.
Well, that's terrific.
Get your word out.
Do you think that the congressman is going to change and maybe sign on to the bill or sign on to the movement to try to get this reversed, to get the government off of this, to get Biden off of this?
I certainly hope so, because otherwise he's going to be a one-term representative.
Well, there it is. And honestly, that's the only thing that they know about and care about. And that's, it's not about making friends. It's about making them understand that we will send them home. That's the ultimate power. In fact, it's the only power you have. It's, we will send you home and you're going to have to go get a legitimate job. So there you go. John, thank you so much. I appreciate you doing that and for letting us know. And each of us has to do that, not just when there's an issue, but certainly when there's an issue, but do it regularly. Talk to them. Otherwise, they just think nobody cares. We got to be letting them know what's going on and what's in our heads. Paul's in Louisiana on 2. Paul, Louisiana, Sincere Carey. What's your story?
Carey, all right. When you elect somebody and he says he's going to be, he runs under the banner of Republican. By the way, there's only one Democrat that voted to override the governor's veto, and he just happened to be in a district up around northeast Louisiana where 70% of the people that voted in his district voted for Donald Trump. So that's about the only time they see the light. But every Democrat except one voted against that bill. So and the gentleman of Natchitoches, and I know you're familiar with him, the senator from there, because I knew how long he lived there, and he was part of court there forever.
The senator's name is Louis Bernard. He and I graduated high school together. I've known him for more than 50 years, and he flipped and betrayed us.
Well, and he's, it gets back to that old deal, he's a good old boy, and he's a good guy, and all that good stuff, but the very idea that he voted for, here's the excuse he used, that the police chiefs and the law enforcement, and of course it was a coalition the governor put together, and by the way, all police chiefs, almost every one of them in Louisiana are appointed, And a police chief, when you hear him talking, you're hearing the mayor who appointed him talk.
He's the mayor's mouthpiece, exactly. It's not. But if you're talking to the sheriff, you're talking to somebody different, generally speaking.
Right. And my sheriff up here in northwest Louisiana now, in Bossier area, he was on TV, and he was all for overriding the governor's veto. So, when we talk politics here, it does matter. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but you guarantee the Democrats are going to give against everything you believe in.
Well, Paul, now's what you got to do is you got to let the voters in your district, and we're talking about Louis Bernard in your case, let them know what he did, and then look, I don't mind sharing with you. Like I say, I've known Louis for 50 years. He's always mocked the idea of gun rights. He's always thought it was to my face, just telling me, basically just making fun of the whole very idea of gun rights and Second Amendment. So I'm completely not surprised. I just think that probably an awful lot of people in his district don't know that about him.
Well, they're knowing it now. I got one more question for you, and I know you're on top of this. The president's going after the gun dealers. He says gun traffickers. I'm trying to think about what he's talking about, because every gun dealer I know, and I bought a firearm fairly recently, first time in years I bought one from an actual store, which is I try to avoid to do because of the paperwork issues. But who's he talking about going after? Because the gun runners is the ATF and
no, he's talking about
people or the gun runners. Are you going to go after his own people for running guns? Because they probably run more guns than any gun dealer I ever heard of.
What the president and ATF are talking about doing is they call it clamping down on gun stores, gun dealers. What they're actually talking about is trying to get rid of as many gun stores and gun dealers as they can, and calling them and basically pulling their licenses for the most minor of offenses. I mean, how many times have somebody transposed a couple of numbers on a 4473, or even the most common one? It's where it gives you put your address down, and it's got your city, your state, your zip code, and then it asks for, and you think it's going to be country, but it's county. And people put USA in there thinking it's asking for country and keep moving, and they're asking for your county. And if that's wrong in there and the dealer didn't catch it, what they're wanting to be able to do is go and say, well, see there, you're just screwing up on your paperwork. We're going to have to pull your license. The goal, first of all, the overarching goal is to get rid of gun sales, as far as they're concerned. And one of the ways they do that is to cut down on the number of gun stores, of FFLs. And one of the ways they do that is to send in their crew and say, oh, we caught you with a paperwork mistake there. We're pulling your license. You're out of business. Paul, appreciate that. By the way, Paul, you got to belong to the Louisiana Shooting Association. Hope you do.